This marking gauge, I can't read the name on it. I think it's buried in all the schmutz that's on the stock. But it's a cool one, and I want to clean it up and have it ready to work again. Now to do that, I'm going to take this towel off the bench because otherwise I will mess it up. So to clean this stock for the marking gauge, I'm going to first remove the hardware. I take a little wad of great aught steel wool and dip it in some, in this case, paint thinner, brush cleaner, and I go over the surface of the marking gauge lightly. I don't want to remove any wood or any varnish that's on it. All I want to do is take off the dirt. And the goal is to get it so that I can read the markings on it. And there they're starting to show up. Oh look, it's got a name on the end. Well, right now all I can read is patent pending. And the gentleman who owned it, his initials were RZ, and he stamped this thing all over the place. I bet he worked in a shop where people were more than happy to borrow your tools rather than buy their own. Now this has got some paint on it, and I don't know how that paint's going to do coming off. We'll try the steel wool, because I'd rather do that than anything more aggressive. I can see the numbers clearly now. 1 through 6. Patented August 5th, and then there's that R. So I'm going to have to get a big glass and take a look at that, see if I can read it. Because RZ didn't really care who patented the thing or what date it was patented. He wanted to make sure people knew that it belonged to RZ. Can't say I blame him. I used to get really upset when somebody went into my toolbox and borrowed one of my tools and walked off, and then I needed it. When I first started out, I thought it was okay to borrow tools, and I thought it was okay to lend tools. But then I realized that not everybody understands what a tool is and how you take care of it. So I would have people bring back tools in deplorable shape. And sometimes they didn't bring back the tool at all. And having to go look for your tools at the end of the day, or even worse, finding out 2 or 3 days later that somebody's had it in their toolbox the whole time because they were too lazy to come back and give it to you, can ruin friendships. There's an old saying, never a borrower nor a lender be. And when it comes to your tools, I gotta agree, that's a good way to go. That paint's not wanting to come off with the steel wool, so now I'm going to have to be very careful and scrape it away gently. It won't do me much good to take the paint off and then remove the markings that I'm trying to uncover. Well, that 3 is completely filled with paint. Now here's where I go against the rule of borrowing. I'm not borrowing a tool, I'm borrowing a design. This design of tool is a dental pick. And with it, I can reach inside that little stamp number 3 and remove the paint from it and also the lines in the barrel of the marking gauge. Yep, this is the same tool that the dentist goes into your mouth and scrapes away the tartar from your teeth. God, I hate that. I know it has to be done, but I certainly don't enjoy the process. But it does give me nice fine control for taking paint out of those markings. So there I have it cleaned up, and you can read those numbers pretty darn good. Now for all you guys that are bemoaning the fact that I've ruined the marking gauge because I've taken the patina off of it. Well, I don't chew tobacco, I don't smoke, and if I got a tool that had tobacco on it and smoke on it, I'd take that off too. This is sweat from the guy's hands. Now maybe that's your cup of tea, but it ain't mine. There. Now we go after the stock. And I like this stock because it has a brass inlay. This is a quality tool. Brass is stronger than wood, so the inlay is going to last a lot longer than a marking gauge with just a wooden stock. See how that shines up nice? I'm sure little bits of NZ will remain in this, or RZ, will remain in this marking gauge for long after I have it. And I don't mind trace elements. And I don't mind that RZ marked it. That shows that he liked his tools, that he took care of them. In my book, that's the sign of a good craftsman. Gotta have respect for the tools that you use. paper towels. Godsend in the workshop. But you do have to respect the idea that they will hold the mineral spirits, and if you don't dispose of them properly, the mineral spirits can cause an exothermic reaction and spontaneous combustion in the rag bin. They must have made forest green paint by the carload. And when I say car, I mean railroad car. Because I find it everywhere. But then again, it was one of my dad's favorite colors. He liked forest green. He'd buy forest green in spray paint cans and he'd paint everything he made. Because there is a truth to the adage that paint will cover up a multitude of mistakes. And if you can't do it right, at least paint it so that it's not obvious. I had a supervisor that I worked with once that told his guys if they couldn't do a good job, at least paint it and cover up their mistakes. He was fun to follow. No name on it anywhere. Well, it's still a nice marking gauge. For the curious, yes, this is an old sock. They work really well for applying wax. Screw back in, tighten that locks that marking bit in place. Now wax the stock. We're almost done. Keeps everything from oxidizing. So now I take this little tab and I put it inside the stock so that edge slips over there. And I put the marking part down. Slide it through that hole. That captures the brass slide, and when I snug that up, the marking gauge is locked in position. You don't want to leave the marking gauge tight. You always want to loosen up the marking gauge when you're done with it. Because if this part is dry when you tighten it up, first time the humidity rises, it's going to make this wooden beam expand, and it's going to split this stock right in two. So you always want to loosen up that set screw. Mark what you need to mark. When you're done with it, loosen the set screw. You can always come back and put the mark back where you want it, tighten it up and make your mark again. But if you don't do that, it's going to snap. A little bit of time spent. Very nice tool when I'm all done. Easily readable numbers. Even though I don't know who made it, I know that the patent was applied for on August 5th. Whatever year that was, R only knows because he decided to stamp his R right over the top of it. Another nice tool. A little bit of time, very little money, and I have something I can be proud of. And it works well. Main thing is it works well.